Bobby Mitchell was one of pro football's most distinctive and elusive runners. As a halfback, wide receiver, or kick returner, number 49 was a threat each time he touched the football. In 1959, Mitchell ran through the Redskins for 232 yards on just 14 carries. 3 years later, he would join the Redskins and earn All-Pro honors. Mitchell's versatility allowed him to showcase his many skills and made him one of the most exciting players in the NFL.
The number 5 most elusive runner of all time, Bobby Mitchell. Number 5.
Bobby was sort of like filet mignon to Jim Brown's sirloin. Bobby was just served up in smaller portions, but they were always very tasty.
Our number 5 most elusive runner began his career as Jim Brown's backfield mate. Mitchell's mind-bending open field running was the perfect complement to Brown's power. Together, they were a mouth-watering combination.
Mitchell shows some of his hurdling ability gained as a college trackman.
Bobby Mitchell, he was a Big Ten sprint champion, hurdles champion. He had very sort of loose ankles, almost floppy. He could change directions like a fish. Just everything was quick, not necessarily graceful.
He was here, he was there, and he was there and there before you could blink. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, it was inhuman.
There's an old thing about give him a leg and take it away. There would be a leg, but when the tackler went for it, it was gone.
The problem that Bobby had is that Paul Brown, his coach, had tapped him as a fumbler. Brown eventually traded Bobby to the Redskins.
Whoa! I'm going to the Washington Redskins, of all places?
He played for George Preston Marshall, which wasn't partial to blacks, okay? And Mitchell was kind of like the first black he had on the team.
In Washington, the Redskins moved Mitchell from halfback to wide receiver. Fortunately, his dazzling run-after-the-catch skills remained, and they were on full display in his return to Cleveland.
Steve goes back to pass. He hit Bobby Mitchell over the center, and watch the ex-Brownie turn it on for his old coach and teammate.
And I hit it right for Paul Brown.
And I'm trying to figure out, where is he going? You know, where is he going?
When I get at the sideline, I immediately made a right turn. And I don't, to this day, know how I made that turn.
I think Bobby made 16 people miss all 11 players once and 5 more twice.
Out of the corner of my eye, I am still looking at Paul Brown, Jim Brown, and Wooten as they're turning, walking back toward the bench because they know I'm gone.
And of course, Paul went crazy. Of all the guys to come back and beat him, he let Bobby Mitchell come back. Oh, he went, wow. I would take these films home. You'd be sitting there at midnight and going back and forth. You'd be amazed at some of the things they could do when you think the linebacker would make an easy tackle, and all of a sudden he comes up with air. Linebackers hate to miss.
He was the first one that I ever saw that perfected that sort of high stepping into the end zone to finish off runs, something that Walter Payton did later in his career.
15 to 10 to 5, he dances into the end zone.
Mitchell retired with over 14,000 combined yards. This Hall of Famer proved that even elusive runners can play wide receiver.
What does it mean to be a pioneer? Well, you might want to ask Bobby Mitchell, the first African history of the NFL's Washington Redskins, an Arkansas native who forged his path collegiately in the Big Ten at the University of Illinois. In part one of his story, Mitchell takes our Howard Griffith through his journey to Champaign as he was one of many youngsters who migrated north for a chance to learn and play.
I wanted to go to the University of Arkansas. The answer was no. That's their loss.
The 1955 edition of the Fighting Illini.
The Razorbacks' loss was the University of Illinois' gain. Bobby Mitchell arrived in Champaign with a football scholarship in the mid-1950s, leaving behind his home state where segregation prevented him from attending the University of Arkansas.
A few days before high school graduation, I had no scholarship, no way I'd be going off to school. And yet a few days later, I got a scholarship, and a few weeks later, I'm on a train heading to Champaign, Illinois. I had never been coached by a white coach, but there was no fear to take the chance.
While Mitchell was on scholarship for football, another sport held his interest.
My man was on the track, trying to make the track team, and to get a chance to play, and then all of a sudden, it all opened up. I found out that I could run the football.
Bob Mitchell, a substitute sophomore halfback, plays a major role in toppling Michigan to its first defeat.
My roommate, Harry Jefferson, was the starting halfback, and he was in front of me, and when he got his shoulder hurt against Michigan, who was the #1 team in the country, and they came to Illinois for that game, and I had to go in, and I immediately beat them. And went on, it was all Big Ten and everything over the next 5 games.
Here's Mitchell again, this time against Wisconsin.
In 1955, Bobby Mitchell averaged 8.3 yards per carry in his first football season as a sophomore, after he and another future star sat out their first year due to NCAA rules that made freshmen ineligible.
When Ray Nitschke and I got to Illinois as freshmen, he was an All-American quarterback. So we had a lot of fun as freshmen beating up on the varsity. So when our sophomore year came around and we started playing, Ray Elliott, our head coach, told Ray Nitschke he couldn't use him as quarterback because he couldn't remember the play.
Oh.
And Ray just cried. But the crazy thing about it, he put him at fullback, and he goes on to Green Bay and been one of the greatest linebackers of all time, Hall of Fame, the whole works.
Similar to Ray Nitschke, Mitchell was enjoying success professionally. He was in his 3rd season with the Cleveland Browns, part of the same backfield with Hall of Famer Jim Brown, when another unit requested his services, the U.S. Army.
This is my 3rd year, and here Jim and I are top runners in the league, and phone rang. PFC Mitchell. I said, oh, shoot, I forgot. I got out of ROTC. This is Lieutenant someone, and just wanted you to know that there'll be a couple of gentlemen at your door shortly. You've just been called up to the Army. I'll caution you, all over the country this is happening, and it was. Because of the Berlin crisis and all that. You must report immediately as your orders state.
Mitchell gained permission to play football on the weekends, as long as he fulfilled his military obligations during the week. But his 4th season with the Cleveland Browns would be his last.
Unbeknownst to me, my name was in the Harper, involved in a trade with the Washington Redskins. So by being in the service, I didn't know this. I wasn't reading things. They said it was in the paper. Some stuff was whispering in the papers in Cleveland.
Right.
But apparently Paul Brown had made his decision to get Ernie Davis. I don't know if you heard him.
Oh, yes.
Ernie Davis from Syracuse, the next Jim Brown.
Mitchell's trade to Washington made history, as he became the first black player for the franchise in 1962, making the Redskins the final NFL team to integrate, despite the wishes of their owner.
George Preston Marshall, who had said he